Hey guys, Crypto Vatsik here. If you like this content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And nothing of what you're about to see is considered financial advice. These are my opinions only. With that said, let's get into it. So I've shared this chart in previous videos. This is the Bitcoin open interest chart. I just want to come back and revisit it quickly, as it has been a historical indicator of macro bottoms that we've seen in the past multiple times. And we do know, in fact, that we will eventually see another bottom form here. We just don't know exactly when. And so I think it's important to keep this in mind and to just look at when we might start to see this Bitcoin bull run happen and what that might mean for altcoins as well. So it's important to keep in mind that just because it tops out, it looks like it might have even topped out temporarily for now. It doesn't mean we can't come back down and then make a double top later on, like we saw back here in December 2019 to February 2020, which did mark a macro bottom on this first peak on the price of Bitcoin, but it wasn't truly the bottom. And then we have the COVID crash right after. So, it's just something to keep in mind, to be careful that it might have a double peak, and we should see some volatility around that area. But at a certain point here, we will see a very significant bottom, in my opinion. It's just a matter of time. So when this happens, typically we see Bitcoin rally first. So when you start to see open interest coming down and the longs decreasing, basically you start to see that run on Bitcoin. And then eventually, once Bitcoin starts to stabilize and takes a bit of a break, that's when we really start to see alts fly. So something like this, don't take these lines to scale. I see something like this forming. Might not be in this time frame either, but something like this is what I would expect coming in the near future. Okay, here we've got the Bitcoin monthly chart, which in my last video I shared this little squiggly, which just gave the idea that I didn't think we were done dropping. We were hovering up here in the 29,000 region at the time of that last video. And then, of course, we did see this drop back down to previous all-time high of 20,000, almost to a T of this squiggly, actually. But yeah, basically my thought here is that we would have tapped this previous all-time high of 20K area, and then we'll start to see some relief and probably a bear market rally back up to this key monthly level of resistance here. So that's coming from this candle right here. This is, in my opinion, a significant area, and it will be a area of resistance, our first area of resistance at least, before further up that we see in price. But I think that these are just levels that you want to play, and if you're waiting for confirmation that either the bear market's over or confirmation of a level being taken out, these would be what I'm looking for. Of course, these are getting up to the high prices again, almost near all-time high. So it's whatever you're comfortable with until you're waiting for confirmation. Some people even just will wait until a new all-time high breaks above this at least all-time high of the candle close here of 61,000 on the monthly chart. So, I mean, it's whatever you're comfortable with. For me, accumulating down in these levels is my strategy, and I'm not waiting for this confirmation. I think that they'll still act as resistance, but I do believe that we've probably marked either the bottom or very close to the bottom of this move down. So something to keep in mind, and I'll show you on the next chart something here in a second. And part of the reason for that last chart that with the squiggly was essentially that it entered my buy zone down here. So the reason for that was mainly it was the previous all-time high at 20,000. There's also a cluster of candles in here that was an area of interest, and that led us into my first buy zone here, which basically came into the buy zone and ended up actually waking down to the bottom of it at 17,600 area, and it acted as support. It's come back up now at this point, and we're starting to see a little bit of a range form here. So this was basically my first area of interest, and it's reacted nicely so far. The second thing is I don't see this coming much further below this area. I really strongly believe that the first impulse wave here at 13,000, the peak of it at least just over 13,000, will not be tapped, or at least will not be broken. That will invalidate the idea that this is the first impulse wave of a 5-wave structure. So with that said, I don't see this coming down, and if it does, it will invalidate basically my entire argument for that. But at the same time, we've already seen some really nice reaction at this level. So, I mean, basically we can just count here. So this is what I mean when I say the 5-wave structure and not tapping the, here we go. There we go. So basically this being the first impulse up, wave 2 down, wave 3, 4, and 5, and basically just Elliott wave theory that the one, two, three, four, five. So the fourth wave should not break the first wave peak. So basically this should act as support, and it can come close to it. You can maybe even retest it, but it should not break that first wave peak. So we haven't seen that yet. That would be this 13,000 area. So I'm watching that closely, but so far a nice reaction at my buy zone, and in profits within this area at this point. So. Okay, so quickly just wanted to show you the log curve as well. So just noticing that this is the second time ever in history that we're actually breaking below the bottom area of the curve itself. It does tend to hug this bottom line of the log curve itself until having a sharp reaction to the upside and then tapping it and then having a um, bear market afterwards. It does react nicely with the mid channel as well, but I have noticed, it is again the second time in history where it's a bit of an unprecedented event. You could argue COVID in the first time with the COVID crash, and then it recovered quite quickly. For this one, whatever your reason is that we've broken below, it could be the war, whatever. You make your own decision. The case still stands that we have broken below. And I think it's important to note that the expansions will be less and less over time, just as the log curve matures. But I would expect us to come back into this curve at some point here. We did spend some time. This is on the weekly chart. We did spend a few weeks at least below it, so not as concerned. But again, you could also just have your own drawing of the curve itself and come up with your own bias, so to speak, right? So if you wanted to take the curve down to this wick here of the COVID crash, all of a sudden, it looks like we could have created either, a more flat curve itself, but I do like to use the indicator itself. Just in the indicator tab, you can find it. There's multiple options, but just something I'm noticing that is interesting at this point as well. Okay, zooming in a little bit here to the 4 hour, we've seen this nice V and U bottom formation here, as well as this channel that's formed in this range here. So we've got the low and then made the high that created our channel and equilibrium here. So we are consolidating near the top of the channel. I would like to see this neckline broken at about just over $22,000. And I would say that would be a very good indication that we would head up to our next resistance area, either at this area of this bottom of this wick, but really just this last previous area where it broke down from around 30,000. So again, just playing it as it plays out, but we are seeing some nice consolidation here at the top of the range, which is a good sign, at least for now. So this is what I'm seeing. I think that we could see some relief here in the next few days to a week sort of thing. But again, just have to stay cautious and play it as you see fit. And finally, just a quick update here on Solana, just as a good example, for many altcoins or what we're seeing in the altcoin market. I had a couple buy zones mapped out here. We tapped my first buy zone. We're kind of ranging inside of it right now, around this bottom level of $35 at this wick. So I could see, some ranging within this area, maybe even a break up to some resistance up in the high $50 range, or even up to $60. If we see that breakdown, we come back down to the lows again, I would expect, or I'll be looking to add more in my my next area of my buy zone too. So we wicked down quite low Didn't quite see it actually go into my bottom buy zone, just wick down here on this candle and back up pretty quickly. So strong reaction. There's clearly a floor of some sort here for previous history. So expecting this to be strong support in the near future. And again, this is this is going to take time, I think, to play out. And I'll show you just quickly on another chart here in a second, kind of my thoughts on the longer time horizon. So again, this is Solana. So just another chart that I've shared on Twitter as well. This was my original buy zone way back when I mapped this out. I think we're up here somewhere around mid 40s area when I shared it, and had mapped out this original buy zone, which I've now split up into two different ones. But essentially, same methodology here, that I would see some sort of bottom form around $30. Might see some relief back up to around $60, and then come back down in a period of accumulation here, where this is when really people start to capitulate. Retail gives up, but that's when smart money starts accumulating. So I don't see us going much lower than $20. I think that would be a gift, but don't take these lines to scale. I think this is just the general idea of what I would expect us to see before getting another impulse up and making new highs. So that's really when people start to FOMO back in. They see high prices, but at that point you're already more than halfway up to the all-time high. So only only put in what you're willing to risk. But in my opinion, you want to be getting in down at these levels before the rest of the market is. So this is just another way of looking at it for Solana, but applies to a lot of other altcoins as well, in my opinion. Okay, everybody, that about wraps it up. Thanks for joining. Again, please like and subscribe if you do like this content, and if you find it helpful. You can follow me on Twitter at CryptoVatsik as well, and I'll look to continue putting out these videos and maybe doing some shorter videos and quicker updates as well. But hopefully we'll see you on the next one soon, and take care. Thanks.